Hello, my dear students. My name is Mukesh Tulwani, Assistant Professor in MLB Textile and Engineering College. The subject is manufacturing processes, and the topic I'm going to discuss on forming process. This is the lecture 1 of the forming process, and this lecture 1 I will discuss the extrusion process. What is extrusion? In extrusion process, metal is compressed and forced to flow through the suitably shaped die to form the product with reduced but constant cross section. In extrusion process, the compressive force is applied to the raw metal. The raw metal is heated and forced to flow through the die, and the product we found, which is constant cross section. This is a diagram of extrusion. In this, with the help of this ram, we give the force to the blade. The blade is hot raw material, which is direct contact with the die. If we force the ram, the ram is direct contact with the blade, so that the blade will flow, and from the die it will get the extruded product. And in this process we get the in raw material there is triaxial compression. Triaxial compression means in from all direction the compression will occur in extrusion process. The extrusion process is like squeezing toothpaste out of the tube. When we squeeze the toothpaste, the paste will come out. It is like that type of process. Extrusion is like that type of the process. Hot extrusion is commonly employed. Hot extrusion. There are two type of processes. One is hot working and another one is cold working. The hot working process is hot extrusion, and cold working process is cold extrusion. I will discuss in this slide both hot extrusion and cold extrusion. Commonly used material for making the extruded part is lead, copper, aluminium, magnesium, and their alloys. Why these commonly used metals are? These metals are ductile in nature. For making the extruded product, we need the ductile material. Why the ductile material? There is in extrusion process there is more deformation occur. For more deformation we need the ductile material. We can make the product by using extrusion of the metals, brittle materials also, like steel, stainless steel, nickel based alloy. But we have to give proper lubrication to these metals for getting the extruded part. What is extrusion ratio? Extrusion ratio is the cross-sectional area of the blade to the cross-sectional area of product. The blade is raw material. And we get the product of deformed shape. This is a raw material cross-section, for example A1, and this is a final product cross-section A2. So what is extrusion ratio? Extrusion ratio is ratio of A1 upon A2. The extrusion ratio for the steel of about 40:1, and for aluminium about 400:1. Aluminium is more ductile than steel, therefore we get the extrusion ratio in aluminium more. Advantages of the extrusion. Any cross-section shape can be extruded from the non-ferrous metals. From the non-ferrous metals we can get any shape of the product, but the product should be product should be uniform cross section. We get the many shapes than the rolling operation. There is no draft. There is no draft problem in the extrusion process. Huge reduction in cross section. In extrusion process, there is a reduction in cross section is more than the rolling operation. Conversion from one product to another required only single die change. With the single die change, we get the final product in extrusion process. But in rolling process, we need more roll mills for getting the final products. So in extrusion process, we get the product in single pass. We get the dimensional precision product in extrusion process. These are the advantages of the extrusion process. The limitation is only uniform cross section. We have the raw material of uniform cross section, which can be of any shape. Application: we can extrude the poorly plastic product and non-ferrous metals also. Manufacture of section and pipe of any shapes. We can get the complex shape configuration in extrusion process also. The medium to small batch production and manufacture of the part of highly dimensional accuracy. We get the product which is highly accurate product. This is a classification of the extrusion. Extrusion is classified into two parts, which is a hot extrusion and another one is cold extrusion. And hot extrusion is classified into two parts, which is direct and indirect. Cold extrusion is also classified into two parts, which is forward and another one is backward. The forward extrusion is hydrostatic extrusion, and further the backward extrusion is also classified into two extrusions, which is cold extrusion forging and another one is impact extrusion. I will discuss all type of extrusion process in this video. First, what is hot extrusion and another what is cold extrusion? When the hot extrusion, when the we give the temperature to the raw material more than recrystallization temperature, then the extrusion process is called hot extrusion process. What is recrystallization temperature? Recrystallization temperature is when the metal has irregular shape of grains, then we have to make the grains of regular size and shape, and we get the uniform grain product. So we have to give the temperature to the metal so that we get the grains of regular size, uniform size, shape. So if we give that the temperature reaches the recrystallization temperature, then we get the uniform grain boundaries and uniform grains. So for practical purpose, we can say for many metals, the recrystallization temperature is about 50% of 50% of melting point of the melting point of the metal. The temperature range of hot extrusion of aluminum, I have taken the example of aluminum. For producing the aluminum part by using extrusion, we have to give the temperature of about 430 to 480 degrees Celsius. The melting point of aluminum is about 630 degrees Celsius. 630 degrees Celsius. So the 50% that 50% of the 630 is 3110 degrees Celsius, 315 degrees Celsius. So for hot extrusion, we have to give the temperature of about 310 degrees Celsius, so that we get the product by using hot extrusion used to produce certain rods or made of the aluminum. Design of die is a problem. Design of the die is the problem in hot extrusion. Why? Because the raw material is direct contact with the die. This is a die and this is a raw material, and we get the extruded from a product from this. This is the extruded part. The raw material is direct contact with the die, and raw material is heated above decrystallization temperature. Above decrystallization, that means the raw material is more heated. So if it is in direct contact with the die, then the die will get corrosion. There is a corrosion problem in the die when contact with the raw material. Therefore, we have to design the die so that we get the die of corrosion resistive die. Therefore, this is a problem in a hot extrusion process. In IES 2009, the question was asked, what is the major problem in hot extrusion? The hot extrusion, the major problem is design of die. Now, what is direct extrusion? A solid ram drives the entire billet to and through the stationary die and must provide the additional power to overcome the friction resistance between the surface of the moving blade and the confining chamber. In direct extrusion, there is the direct contact of the blade and the chamber. So there is a friction between blade and confining chamber. In direct extrusion, this is a problem. In this, the ram direction and the flow direction both are same. Therefore, it is called the direct extrusion. In direct extrusion, there is a problem of the friction resistance. So we have to give the additional power in direct extrusion. This is the first part of the video. I will discuss the extrusion in another part of the extrusion process in next video. Thank you so much.